All right, and welcome back to the show. So today we have a classic chuck roast for you. We're going to show you how to marinate this, get it tender, and we're going to show you how to slow roast it on the grill. So stick around, don't go anywhere. Okay, so this roast weighs about 9 pounds, and we're going to get some seasoning on here. The first thing I'm going to do is start with a little garlic powder. Just a nice little amount on there, rub it in and do both sides. And that's our powder. Get it nice and rubbed in. And then we're gonna follow with kosher salt. Get that in there, get your sides, let the tray pick up some of those. All right, just like that. Now we're gonna go in with some kosher salt. In a bowl, put a lot of kosher salt in here. Now, if you see my 10-pound Brontosaurus steak video, we're brining in a dry brine, which is kosher salt. It's not a wet brine. And the difference between a dry brine like this is gonna suck all the moisture, not all of it, but it's gonna suck a lot of the moisture out of this meat within a 24-hour period. And that's gonna really tenderize this meat and pound the steak out and get it tender. So it's gonna basically be covered, submerged in kosher salt, just like that. And it's gonna go in the fridge overnight, and we're gonna take it out, and you're gonna see the steak in its kind of a dry stage form. Plus it's gonna be dry aging in the salt. As the salt sucks out the moisture, it's basically curing this meat, almost like a dry aged steak. Just rub it in there real good and get all of that salt in there. Might look like a lot of salt, but it's a 10-pound roast, almost 10 pounds, 9 and change. And believe me, it's gonna take every bit of this salt. Just like that. Just keep turning it, patting it, turning it, until you get it pretty covered. I'm gonna put some over it, just like that. And now what I'm gonna do, instead of letting it sit in this salt like this overnight, I'm gonna take it out of this container and I'm gonna put it back on its tray, just like that. And I'm not gonna put any salt over top of it because I want this to marinate. Now this little spot in the middle, I see a little empty spot in the middle. I'm gonna make sure we get it on that and just pat it down. And that's about it. You're done. This piece of meat's gonna go for about 24 hours. And after that 24-hour stage, we'll show you what to do with it from there. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, it's day number 2, and our steak is nice and marinated. Let's take a look. All right, so this has been sitting in the salt brine all night long, and now we're gonna finish it off. So right before it goes on to the cooker, we've got vegetable oil. So we're gonna give a good dose of this vegetable oil. Looks like a lot of vegetable oil, but believe me, it's not. At the same time, it's gonna get some of the salt on the outside off of here. Just the big clumps on here, see? Just rub it around. And just, I can feel that salt just running down on the board. We don't wanna get all that salt off, but we do wanna get some of it off on the outside there. All right, we're coming in with some Worcestershire sauce in just a second here. on top of there. And you're gonna need a good douse of this because we're roasting this, and this is another thing that's gonna rinse off that salt. Just like that. I'm gonna use a lot of it to get that salt off. This is a very old school way of doing this. And the rest of the salt that's on this pan here is gonna take my hands, get it away. Just like that. All right, now we're on side 2. We could do the same thing. Nice douse of that. Rinse off the salt with it. Just like that. I kind of take my meat, hold it to the side, push that off. Just like that. All that salt. All right, and now we're back on the tray. Just wipe my hand, and a little bit more of it. Just rub it in. Now I don't feel any more of that salt remnants on there. And now we're gonna follow up with a very coarse black pepper. This is number 28. Look how thick those are. Look how big those are. There you go. Just give it a little rub. Flip it over to the other side. Now, a lot of you guys have seen your grandparents do this. Very popular method in the South, the way we do it. Especially slow roasted meats. Nobody does it anymore. A lot of people don't have time to slow roast a piece of meat over fire for 3 or 4 hours, but we're doing it today. And that's it. So we're gonna get our cooker fired up. That's the way you wanna look at it. Let's get our sides. I'm not gonna drag this across the board because look at all that salt we got off of there. And the rest of the salt is just gonna sweat off as we're cooking it. It's gonna push out all that salt. And this piece of meat, with the marinade that's on it now, the pepper and the Dolian parents, that's gonna lead for just a slow smoked, beautiful cooked piece of meat. Stick around, don't go anywhere. Okay, this is what we're rolling on today. It's a custom cooker, and with no further ado, let's show you the inside. All right, so this is our custom cooker. It's a very old fuel tank that's been converted into a cooker. More like a fireplace cooker type of style. It's very big, it's very heavy. It's got beautiful vents on the top. I can vent out to these vents on the top. I can adjust my vents on the top. I even left the oil cap on here, so this way, if you want, you could just use that cap right there, just to vent out just a little bit. Now this thing has been completely fired, burned out. Anytime you want to do fuel tanks like this, you know, you basically set them on fire and sandblast them and clean it all up, and there's no more remnants inside there, and that's it. All right, let's show you the inside. We got 2 custom doors on here. Let's get a light in here. Now this is my setup. Inside I have a hanging rack in here. So I do have racks that can just slide in here. If I want to just cook the regular style, I could go 2 racks on the top. I have this rack set up here. Now today, the way we're gonna set this roast up is we're actually roasting this. We're slow roasting this. I have a drip pan in the middle there, down the bottom. This is a rack that holds wood. And since we're doing a slow roast today, I'm gonna show you my fire setup at the same time. This is my fire setup. It's homemade lump coal. I got a few bits of wood here. I don't want this too smoky. I want to keep a very low fire today. We're going to be rolling at about 200 degrees, 210, somewhere around there. And it's going to be a very slow roast. This roast is going to take about 3 hours. Now, the nice thing about this cooker, I can adjust to everything. I have this hanging here. If I want, I can go to the front with. I can bring it all the way to the front. I can bring it all the way to the back. And also, if I want, I could bring it completely to the side, to this side. If I want my food over the fire, I just bring it over here, but it works just like a campfire, just like that. I could bring it right over the fire, and I could bring it to this side. Now today our setup is gonna be our roast on here. I got a cast iron drip pan down the bottom, so this way I can catch the drippings. It does two things. It keeps some drippings, and just in case I want to use some drippings, maybe put some butter in there to go over top of my steak, I can catch all those drippings down there. And it also keeps my cooker clean, so I'm not sitting here for hours cleaning my cooker. And that's it. That's my setup. If I want to put another piece of rebar across here just like this and hang sausages from here or hang any other meats or chicken, I can do that. I have 4 more or 5 more pieces of bar there. I can hang up a bunch of stuff. This thing will feed an army. And with no further ado, let's get this lit. Let's get it on. All right, so our fire's lit. We got her going on. And we're gonna wait for this fire to burn down just a little bit. Everything in here is natural. I got natural wood, natural fire starter in here. And when I start this, I'm not gonna let these coals burn down white because I don't want this fire crazy. I want a very small fire, and I could burn a fire without burning all this wood and coals down. And that's not what you want. You don't want the whole fire white raging. I'm gonna close this up probably about the next 10 minutes, just because I don't want a raging fire. That's about it. So we're gonna stabilize this. We're gonna get the food on, and that's gonna be about it. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, so right now we're not gonna baste this piece of meat. We're not gonna do anything. We're slow roasting it. So we're just gonna let her cook. We're gonna let her roast. The hooks that was in there, I might turn it around. I'm not sure yet, but I might turn that around just to get that other in there. When I start probing and checking, I'm gonna start checking this and probing it. We're only in it for about an hour and a half right now. It's gonna take about 3 hours, maybe even 4 to cook. We're not sure. And this is what happens when you do a slow cook and you're just kind of figuring it out. So we're gonna let this go, and we're gonna kind of play it by ear. It's gonna be about it. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, so we are about an hour and a half in, and let's see what we got. I put some more wood on here. Our wood started to kick down a little bit, and that's where we are. Look at that. She's looking good. I'm gonna let it just keep slow roasting, and I might, coming into another hour, I might take these hooks and I'll flip it around. So this bigger half right here can get some more heat, or I might just leave it that way. I'm not sure, because I always have guests coming over in my family, and some people like the well done pieces. So I might just leave it rolling that way and keep this end away from the fire, because when this is end is away from the fire, I'll have that more rare, that more well done, and we'll have something for everybody. That's about it. So I'm gonna close this down. As you can see, that fire kicked up. I'm gonna stabilize this back again, and that's gonna be about it. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. So let's go show you what's going on in here. Now our temperature dropped tonight in South Georgia, and it's a little chilly out. Chilly for me anyway, because I don't like the cold. So let's open up and show you what we got. Let me just get the light in here. And that's what we're looking at. Nice, slow roasted meat. Now I probed this about 10 minutes ago. It's about 105. I'm gonna bring this up to about 125, 128, somewhere in there. I also dropped a log down in there, just because our temperature dropped, because our temperature dropped for real outside. It's chilly out here tonight in South Georgia. So temperature right now is probably gonna be about 60 degrees, and that's cold for South Georgia. So I dropped that log in there. That's some red oak. And the reason why I also dropped the log in there is because that's gonna bring some color. It's also gonna bring some flavor during its last probably about a half hour. to get up to that temperature. That's about it. We're gonna shut this thing down because that fire is getting crazy and I don't want this meat to cook too fast. So let's shut her down. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, we're about time to come off, so let's check this. Look at that nice piece of roasted meat there. Now, normally, if I didn't have all this pepper on here, I would take that and I would put it over top of the fire to kind of burn it up a little bit. But because we're roasting this, if you put this over top of the fire, which will happen is that you will burn up this pepper. And by the time you put pepper on something and put it on fire, pepper and heat, they don't go together. Now, I told you about these onions on here. Now, I'm just gonna probe right into one, and you can tell they're done because it just goes right into that onion. And we're gonna probe our meat and see where we are. Because when those onions are done, I put those on there because when the onions are done, the meat's done. And let's see what temperature we're at right now. We're on Celsius, so we gotta go to Fahrenheit. And we're pulling at 130. Time to pull them. I'm gonna pull this, we're gonna put it on the chopping block, and we'll meet you inside. Stick around, don't go anywhere. All right, and we are on the chopping block. Let's take a look at what we got. Look at that. Look at that. All right, so we're gonna take this, and the first thing I'm gonna do is throw it onto the board and let you guys get a look. Now I'm gonna start cutting this right in the middle. Right down the middle. And I'm gonna show you what we got. All right, look at that. Nice and medium rare. That is beautiful. Now, I did our ends. Our end piece is more well done. And I'm gonna show you what those look like. So, if your guests like it, look at that smoke ring, by the way. If your guests like it more well done, then you could do it like this and have this in here. Just like that. And you want to slice a piece of meat like this, nice and thin. Because it's definitely not filet mignon, but it's very, very tender. There you go. And now we're going to get a nice pit master taste of this nice roast. Wow. That's dynamite. I highly suggest you give this a try. Now, I don't want to go cutting up this entire steak, just because the slice is better when you're slicing it right before you eat it. So don't do that. Don't slice this whole thing up. All the juices are going to run out. I also have a huge slicer, commercial grade, that I can put this on tomorrow, slice it down really thin, and make sandwiches out of it, which I might do if everybody doesn't eat it tonight. But there it is. Slow roasted chuck roast, like back in the days. I'm gonna plate this up and stick around. Don't go anywhere. All right, and there you have it, a classic chuck roast with roasted onions, just like Grandma used to do. And if you like what you saw today, and many more videos that are about to come, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and hit that little bell, this way you get everything first. And with no further ado, it's time for a pitmaster taste off of a nice slice. Here we go.